So, I promised to do a more uplifting video this time. So, this one's entitled "Rapid Recovery Advice." And so, the first thing I want to do is talk about addiction. And so, if you're addicted to something and you're also trying to recover from PTSD, it'll slow your recovery because, for one thing, it'll give you a false sense of reality to begin with. But then, even if you do settle into, a state where you can handle the reality that you're dealing with, if you ever decide to give up that habit later on, all of the effects that of the PTSD that will come along, it'll come right back with it. And so, the first step, really, to recover and try to understand the world the way it is to try to lose those addictions: alcohol, marijuana, and like methamphetamines. So there's kind of a clue here in the serenity prayer, which is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And so, as you're presented with the reality here, understanding that there's some things you can change and some things you can't change will go a long way in helping you recover and restore to normalcy. So let's talk a little bit about, the problem is the economy of scale of what's happened to you. The effects can be long-lasting and permanent, even after all forms of harassment may have ended, active harassment. And so, it makes it very easy to now just kind of put you in a place where you can't move forward in your life because you'll be constantly revisited with this. We probably all experienced a hypersensitivity to advertising and propaganda, but you can have hypersensitivity to people and vehicles, hypersensitivity to media, whether it's alt or mainstream or social, or you see a message in everything. And another symptom is, and this one really is what causes a lot of damage, is a constant state of fight or flight. That will lead to paranoia, delusions, and then eventually depression. And, it's just right after that where you start to get suicidal or homicidal thoughts. And, the goal here would be eventually you strike out at anything, usually random, or maybe some type of person that you feel has harmed you in your life. And then it's game over. You're done. And so how to avoid that and reverse that loop is the goal. So, this is just my advice, having experienced it. But so here's what I would do. Okay, so after addiction, just a sec, I swallowed an ice cube here. After addiction and understanding, yes, there is injustice in society. You're going to go right back down the rabbit hole again if you go and follow every conspiracy theory or fact. And so, all you really need to know is, yes, there's something really fucked up in the world. You can't change that. What you can change is how you try to work your way through that and still be a moral person in your life. If that's not your problem, if you don't have a problem with the moral part of it, then this should be clue enough for you how to conform in society. I hate to say it, but the choice is there. You don't have to go looking too far to realize how the world works. And so that choice is really, may make the difference between whether you have an uphill battle or whether you have an easy time of it in life. So I think those of us that have chosen the uphill battle, can feel like we're morally superior because we're not thinking about ourselves first, you know. But the price to be paid is an uphill battle. So let's talk about, definitely not going back down the rabbit hole. The evidence is in plain sight. So trying to wake the woke or the sleeping is very difficult. Most people just don't want to wake up to see how the world really is. And so, well, what do? Well, you got to realize that your end game now is your spiritual and physical survival. So the first step you really got to do is overcome that fight or flight instinct, because that's damaging you, and just let go of your fear. And by doing that, it's once you let that fear go, like for example, if you're to the point where you're having delusions or suicidal or homicidal thoughts, if you can get to that moment where you would even consider that, it's also very freeing too, because you can lose your fear that way. I say don't go through with it. Your life is, an important part of a bigger, grander event. And so, but if you can get past that, it's very liberating and allows you to kind of think in a more spiritual, connected kind of way. And so that's an important thing, is losing that fight or flight instinct, and just know wherever you go, you're behind enemy lines. In the world of good and evil, if you're good, everywhere you go in this world, there's nowhere to go. So accepting that, it's very liberating too, because, we do live in a world of good and evil. And, every once in a while, good things happen to good people. So my next advice is to make friends with people that have similar views to you. And so, whatever happens in this world, having a community of people around you that camaraderie is the most natural form of, in a way, if you think about it, of mind control. Without any interference, groups of people with common beliefs protecting groups of people with that same belief is the basis of civilized man. And so that's the way it should be. So try to get past the point where you're trying to prove every conspiracy theory, because it'll be hard to find people that really are connected like that. And so look at things that you may have in common with people that think the way that you do, and look for a natural form of camaraderie as a basis for your survival. And so that could be a church, that could be a community group, that that could be any one of those things. Look for that which you feel comfortable with, and people that think the same way as you. So, and then really, you don't want to be hanging around with people that don't think the same way as you. Let's see. Seek for things that are just, and seek for them for reasons that are moral. Don't be selfish in your actions, but do things that are also in your best interest as well as your community. This one I think is very, very important. Forgive, and then forgive some more. And the reason is because every person that may have done something wrong to you or slighted you in life, they're judged according to their ability to comprehend the world that they're into. And so people are like software, like garbage in, garbage out. And if someone's had you just can't judge a person can't judge a book by its cover. And then just know that with all the technology out there, everybody's talking about voice to skull, and the one thing I can tell you is that there's no such thing as voice to heart technology. So, unless you view the system as a whole, as a way to get your heart, then yeah, there is. And so, but really, they may be able to beam a voice in your head, but they can't beam a voice in your heart. And so, if you're deciding to just be on the side of good rather than evil, that probably comes from your heart. So stick with that, and look for leadership that also reflects that same example, and you'll be able to overcome this thing, and realize after you come out of it that the difference between the things in this world that you can change and the things that you can. So anyways, my heart goes out to you, and I'll leave you with this little joke here. Anyways, peace out to all the TIs and all the perps and all the good and evil in this world.